Okay, so now it's my turn. Now it is my turn. I've been asked enough questions about what I think about it, and rather than respond to tweets and messages on videos, I thought I would give everybody enough time to vent their spleen and get their opinions out there. And realistically, what I wanted to do, and I respect everybody who's got an opinion on it, I wanted to get more of the facts straight before I actually talked about the Advanced Warfare multiplayer revealer. So before I do, I'm going to tell you a little story, and I hope you bear with me because it's all relevant to what I'm about to say. A little bit long-winded, but hey, who cares? So, once upon a time, I was a kid, believe it or not. I was a young boy, and when I was a young boy, one of my favourite things was reading comic book stories. Now, one of my favourite stories was from this guy called Hotshot Hamish. Now, Hotshot Hamish was this spectacular Scottish footballer. He was a great big hulking 7-foot guy. You know, muscles from Brussels, great big bulging fucking biceps, legs like tree trunks, and all of his teammates were just small and skinny and scrawny, and they were irrelevant. But what they used to do was, when they used to play a game, everybody used to kick the ball at Hotshot Hamish, and he'd take this super shot, kick the ball as hard as he can, and tear the back of the net off every single time. He would rip the nets off. Why they never made the nets in barbed wire, I'll never know. And if a goalkeeper was unlucky enough to decide to try and save his goal, he alone would be teleported into the sky with the net and sometimes taking the goalpost with him. So he was my hero. Now, one thing he used to do was, when he'd finish the game, they'd all congratulate him. Hooray, Hamish, you're the hero of the day again. 25-0, who would have known or even guessed? Why did the fucking other team even bother turning up? He would go back to his hometown, he would turn up at his house, and he would sit down to a great big steaming plate of haggis. Now, obviously, because I wanted to emulate Hamish and I wanted to be like him, be the big strapping guy who could score goals and kill goalkeepers within an inch of their life, I wanted to, eat haggis. But haggis wasn't really readily available, living in England when I was younger. It obviously is now, but it wasn't then. So I always swore blind I would go to Scotland one day and I would eat haggis. Now, years and years later, I eventually got married in Scotland and we had a honeymoon up in the Highlands. And when we went to the Highlands, the very first port of call, one of the very first port of calls I did was popped into a pub, sat down and noticed haggis on the menu and said, that is what I'm going to have. That is for me. I'm taking myself back to my youth and I am going to be Hamish for one night only. And the lady came over, she took the order. What would you like? I said, I want haggis, neeps and tatties, which is haggis potatoes with gravy and stuff like that. So she said, sure, no problem. And before she walked away, I said, bear with me. I said, why actually is haggis? I said, I've heard a few rumours, but, I don't know whether people are just trolling me. Now, she proceeded to be, perfectly blunt, and she told me that haggis is basically a selection of offal. Now, for those of you who don't know what offal is, it's liver, lungs, intestines, heart, mulched into one great big lump, and fitted nicely and tucked into a delicious, nutritious sheep's bladder. Now that absolutely sounds disgusting, and to be honest with you, I was kind of put off a little bit. I was almost backtracking and thinking, hang on, what are you doing to me? What are you about to feed me? Am I going to be physically fucking ill for days on end? But no, when in Rome, do exactly what the Romans do, and that's what I've always believed in. If you go to another person's country, if you go to another person's city, and there's a speciality plate of food that people eat and love and respect, and that's their, that's what they believe in, that's what I always do. So I said, no, I will have some of that, and God help me. So I sat down and I ate this plate of food, and I can honestly tell you that every day, sometimes even twice a day, following that for about 2 weeks, I ate haggis. It was delicious. Now, comparing that to the Call of Duty Advanced Warfare multiplayer revealer, I sat there and just about caught the tail end of it. I didn't see the whole thing, but I noticed the multiplayer revealer trailer. And just like I did with the haggis, I felt physically sick because I did not like what I watched. I just didn't like it. It was everything I had possibly imagined that could be wrong with this, this new game coming out was shown. It looked awful. It looked very painful, very quick, very complicated, very confused, a lot of things going on, a lot of overpowered stuff, triple jumping bloody snipers, quick scoping in midair, pulling out smart pistol type things with one-shot kill, riot shields, cloaking. Oh man, I just looked at it and despaired. And straight afterwards I went to the shop and I bought myself, I think, probably about 20 beers. No, I didn't. I just went to the shop and I bought some bits and pieces, and all the way driving to the shop I felt really disappointed. And I was kind of looking at people's videos and I noticed there was a lot of people that had done their thoughts, no, I'm not gonna do any of this. I'm gonna wait, and I'm gonna delve into this more. I want to understand it more. I haven't watched the whole E3 trailer, and I want to see if there's, you know, any gameplay revealers out there, like real-time gameplay. Because I actually watched a Jive Turkey video this morning, and he hit on a real major fact at the end of the video, and I don't think anybody really picked up on this. And, you know, people were saying to him, Jive, why are you hating on the video? It's going to be brilliant. This game's going to be awesome. You just don't understand. And he really picked up on a valid point when he said, look, when they do these multiplayer revealers, one thing you have to understand is that they always showcase the kind of gameplay that you wish you could have. You know, there's a guy running around with a cannon that shoots it and kills a guy with one hit, and then pulls out some sort of shotgun and hip fires 3 people in a row, and then cloaks and does this and that, and pulls this smart pistol out, kills one guy in one hit, and covers himself in a shield, and then swims off, and everything looks amazing. He calls in his streaks, gets a multi-kill. That's how I want to play. When that game comes out, I want to do exactly that, what I've just seen on the screen. This game is going to be amazing because I can do that. They're not going to show you 12 clumsy people in a lobby, hip-firing, spraying, lasers flying all over the place, guys dropping to their death, people noob tubing people, and, you know, just the horrible stuff. They're going to show you the best, and that's how it works. Now, the one thing I actually did was I took some time out and I read through the comments, and somebody said, look, Jive, you need to look at this guy here. I haven't watched T Martin. This is the first time I haven't watched Allier or T Martin before any revealer, because I do not want to listen to their fucking shit about how super exciting this game is. I wanted to listen to real people. And somebody linked me up to a guy, and I'll try and find it and put the link in the description, to this guy playing some gameplay, and they said it's not as bad as you think. And I sat and watched about 4 videos from this chap who seems pretty down to earth and quite honest, and I thought, do you know what, this is almost winning me over a little bit. You know, I'm kind of coming round. Bearing in mind I was at the brink of despair, I'm kind of now coming round a little bit. You know, I noticed that the jumping wasn't as bad as I thought. Even though I hate Titanfall jumping, it was explained that it's not like Titanfall jumping. As opposed to Titanfall jumping, where you could jump and almost glide through the air, now you have to jump and you literally come to the ground with a thud. It's like you've got a weight on you. So that wasn't too bad, you know, too much of an issue. And I've now found out the cloaking is very, very sort of short in its lifespan, and you can only use it once per life. Also, that looking at the perks, it does seem as if maybe, and this is just my opinion, you know, I know you're going to crash down on me like a fucking house that's just had TNT stacked underneath it, and that's fair enough, everybody's entitled to opinions, but it does look to me as if they've looked at the perk balance sections and said, right, we're gonna really try and get this right. Now, the only things I'm really disappointed about, and these are my own personal disappointments from watching actual real-life gameplay and knowing what I know now, is that number one, they've took Ninja out, or Dead Silence, whatever you want to call it. Now, that for me is kind of detrimental to my game type. However, it's not too much of a problem, because if nobody has Dead Silence, then you kind of take the problem out of the equation. You know, I always noticed that Dead Silence was good because it keeps me away from the players who want to be loud. I can now be quiet. But if everybody's on an even playing field and equally as noisy, then whatever, bring it on. You know, there's nothing to make people even noisier. That's a good thing. So they've kind of listened in that respect. I also noticed a couple of the thermal scopes are actually really quite shit. You know, they're almost pointless and not even worth putting on. If you imagine Black Ops 1 thermal scopes, nobody used those. You know, you almost got those in... Not gun game. What was the other one where you rank, you know, the weapon switches every round, you know, the kind of extra game types that you used to play, you know, and it was almost like a bit of a booby prize getting that thermal. It was like, oh no, I've got the fucking pistol with the thermal on. Why do this to me? So that doesn't look too much of a problem. So it seems as if maybe they've learnt from Ghost there. You know, the other thing that I didn't like, I'll be honest with you, was the red screen. You know, it looks like Sledgehammer. And I said this with Modern Warfare 3. You know, I said Sledgehammer must have had some sort of input with the multiplayer, and a lot of people said, no, it was pure Infinity Ward and Activision alone. Sledgehammer never touched it. Well, it seems that the red screen, the Jelly Jam screen, or some people quite nicely put the period screen, seems to be back a little bit. But I don't think it's going to be as bad. The only troubling thing that I'm finding in my own head to deal with, which you can't see at the moment, is with the jumping and the strafing and the zooming forward. How's that going to work with the lag comp? I don't know. You know, it was like I was talking in the last video about, you know, about Benny Central when I was playing on the American Connection. All of a sudden, Benny Central just appeared in front of me, and it was just unbelievable. Now you're going to have people zooming. That could be a problem, you know. So there's a lot of questions still unanswered. We don't know everything, and I don't suppose we will know everything until it happens, or if it doesn't happen. But my initial thoughts at first were major despair, and now they've changed into something of like, well, you know, maybe I could come round to this. You know, I suppose maybe I've got to watch more gameplays and almost condition myself to the idea of what's going to be happening, and hopefully then maybe I'll enjoy it. But as far as things stand at the moment, it's early days, and you know, we're never going to know everything. But the one thing I'll say is they are revealing a little bit more than Call of Duty Ghost did, because if you remember at this time, the people who were going away and playing it, there was very limited selections as to what you could have. At least this time it looks as though they've opened a lot more doors and said, right, just go for it and just upload it and show people exactly what they're going to have. And you can't really knock them for that, you know. Fair play to them. The one thing I will say, and this is one final thought to be taken from this game, at least it is not Call of Duty Ghosts. You know, the gameplays I've watched are 6v6 hardpoint gameplays, which is a good thing that that's back, because that was quite fun. But these are 6v6 gameplays now, and everything I've noticed is that there's always something going on. There is always action going on. The one thing that never happened with Call of Duty Ghosts, very slow, very boring, very dull, very unentertaining and very unsatisfying. At least now it looks as though they've kind of taken back that Black Ops 2 element where you are going to be constantly in the action. There is going to be always something going on. Actually, here goes. The one thing I will say is, and let's put ourselves in a little bit of a scenario. Let's just imagine, let's say for the sake of argument, that the last, I don't know, so many years never existed. Let's pretend there was no Call of Duty 4, let's pretend there was no Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2, and Call of Duty Ghosts. Let's just imagine that we have just watched a gameplay revealer for something that's absolutely new and fresh. Titanfall doesn't exist. We've just watched something that's going to be coming to our, you know, our consoles in November, and this is the first time we've ever seen a Call of Duty. What would we think now? I honestly believe that we would all be sitting there with a little bit of a wet patch in our panties. We'd all just gotten a little bit too excited about what was going to be landing on our laps. Yeah? Am I right or am I wrong? The only thing that keeps this game from being so disappointing is the element, well, for me personally, is the element of nostalgia. I always want to go back. That's the thing. That's one of the most major things I always read in people's comments, is people want to go back to a certain time. With me, I'd like to go back to Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2. A lot of people would like to go back to World War 2. You know, a lot of people don't like change. Change isn't always a good thing. But who knows? You know, they've had 3 years to develop. Let's just see. The proof is in the tasting, just like the haggis. And if we decide that it does taste like shit, then we'll just beat the chef up. On Twitter, not physically. I don't know. You know, it's rose-tinted glasses at this stage in time, and obviously, like I say, it's just, I'm just giving you my thoughts. This is just my thoughts. This isn't an overall view where people are going to hammer me later on in a few videos and say, oh, I thought you said it would be epic. No, these are just my thoughts. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys, and I will see you again. Please let me know what you think, or whether I'm just blind. Apocalypse done.